Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff, and welcome to another review where we are finally taking a look at the Civivi Synergy 3. I've had this knife for a while, and it's taken me a long time to get to the review because of just, I don't know, the general busyness of life, I suppose. But here we are finally taking a look at this really, really cool knife. So, without wasting any further time, let's go ahead and get this review started with a blade length measurement, as always. And for a second there, I panicked because I thought I had misplaced my ruler, but I had not. It was just buried under my review cutting knives, or under my size comparison knives. Anyways, sharpened edge here is coming in just a hair over 3 inches, about 3 1/16, which is honestly kind of surprising because this feels like a bigger knife than just 3 inches. Blade length is 3 1/4 inches, pretty much on the dot. This does feel like a little bit of a bigger knife. The specs on paper don't really match the feel in hand. Okay, let's go ahead and get our size comparisons going. Starting us off, as always, you guys know how this works. There's the Rat 1, followed up, what comes after 1? That's right, 2. There's the Rat 2. So yeah, this is definitely right between the Rat 1 and the Rat 2. I guess this would be very similar in size to the Rat 1.5, which I need to get my hands on. Or is it a 2.5? I think it's the Rat 1.5. Anyways, the new Rat that I want to try out. Let's go to our USA made comparisons next. Here's the Benchmade bug out. And, whoa, Spyderco PM2, of course. And actually very similar in size to both of these in different ways. Okay, there we go. And let's grab our Civivi comparisons. Here's the Elementum, or in this case, the Elementum 2. And here is our Praxis. Very cool, very cool. And let's compare it against a couple of other Civivis, just because. Here is the somewhat recently reviewed Civivi Statera. This is my favorite Civivi knife ever. And here is against the Civivi Insight. Both of these are sadly discontinued. But these right here are a good looking bunch of knives, in my opinion. I like those ones a whole lot. Okay, what are we looking at for our materials? Well, we have, in this case, a drop point blade of Nitro V steel. We have G10 scales, G10 backspacer, steel liners, steel pocket clip, and this is a flipper knife running on bearings. And this is an Oyung design, so very, very important. We'll be coming back to that. But before we do, let's go cut some stuff. Hey guys, you ready to do some review cutting? Boy, I sure am. I'm really ready. I've been wanting to review cutting with this knife for a long time. This is the Civivi Synergy 3. I've had this knife for a while, been carrying it a ton. You can probably see there's all kind of marks on there. Which brings up the first thing I have to say. This is not factory edge. This is one of my edges. And I'm not even sure it's in that good of a shape. I'm not even sure it's in that good of shape because I have been using this knife a lot recently, and, well, we'll just see what happens, okay? If I have to touch it up out here with the work sharp, we will. But let's go ahead and get started. Start off with that action. Liner lock, it's running on bearings. It's a Civivi, so you know the action's going to be at least halfway decent. Flipper only, really, really excellent flipper tab. The detent is, I mean, I think it could be stronger, but the flipper tab is shaped in such a way, and it's got jimping on it that's just perfect. It makes deploying this knife super satisfying. This is a great flipper. And I know flipper-only knives are not that popular these days, but this is a good one. And this kind of reminded me that, like, yeah, flipper-only knives have a certain satisfaction with them. If you get them done right, they're unbeatable. They're really, really freaking good. So, there we go. That is the action for you. How are the ergonomics? So we have these kind of radial G10 scales. Of course, the original Oyoung design was an integral, and we makes an integral version. This one is not. It's regular sandwich destruction. We do have inset liners. Fills the hand really nice. These are pretty neutral ergos. A little bit of contouring, a little bit of grip because of the, you know, the milling in here. Got kind of an area right here for your thumb to go, or you can put it up here. Just good ergos. This knife feels really, really dang nice in hand. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about how it carries. So we've got, you know, a Civivi clip, which is kind of standard. I was not sure how it would work on this, you know, ribbed for our pleasure texturing. It's all right. The screw is inset to the scales with flat screws. It is not reversible, so sorry lefties. But in the pocket, yeah, it goes in really nicely, comes out fine. You know, maybe you might notice a little bit more grippiness than normal, but I wouldn't say it's a huge issue. Get your hand down in there. You know, it folds up into a fairly compact shape. I don't think most people are going to have a whole lot of issue carrying this knife. All right, let's go ahead and cut some stuff. We have a drop point Nitro V blade on this version. There are other blade shapes available. Let's go ahead and get our cardboard out here. Beautiful, beautiful. This is a saber grind, so it's not, you know, necessarily the thinnest thing ever, but they did, you know, grind it very well. You can see that's a pretty decently thin edge. There's an address on here I'm going to try not to show. And I'm also going to try not to slip out of the cuts. Yeah, that slices very, very nicely. I got my truck parked on a little bit of a hill, so the tailgate is lower than normal. Yeah, feels really good. Utility cuts, no problem whatsoever. Guys, drop points, it's hard to argue with drop point blades, right? They just work. I love drop points. They look good, they function well. Honestly, if I woke up tomorrow and every knife in the world was magically a drop point, I don't think I'd be upset. Okay, rope pull time. We ran out of review cutting rope recently, so I went and bought some more. This is not exactly the same as the stuff that I had before. Get off of there, you stupid sticker. But I think it'll work well enough. I like to get the plasticky ropes just because they, you know, offer a little bit of resistance. Offers a good gauge for me on these, you know, not really tests, but demonstrations. All right. Nope. Where's the end? Where's the end? Just a second, guys. Well, I figure this... I don't know why you guys watch this channel, because I am quite obviously an idiot. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I like this rope. We might be changing. We'll see. But that's what I've got for today. Let's do a pull through. Felt all right. Let's go ahead, crunch through it. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that did good. That felt fine. I don't think I like this rope. We may not be using this going forward, but there it goes. Guess what we've got? Whoa. Oh well, that rope is what we have for today. Pool noodle time, and I need to go and buy a new pool noodle here pretty soon as well. 1, 2, 3. Oh my goodness gracious, guys, that felt phenomenal. No binding, no snagging. Look how thin we went. Yeah, that's clean. That's clean. Again, this is, you know, one of my edges, but, you know, the geometry on this blade feels very, very well done. this is a heck of a performer. All right, let's go ahead and get back to the table. And we're back. Let's go ahead and talk about what I'm liking and not liking about this knife. Starting us off, of course, with the things that I'm liking. Number one, I think this is a good looking knife. It's a very plain looking knife, but it's got good aesthetics. This is kind of my preferred design language when it comes to pocket knives. In some ways, it reminds me a little bit of the QSP Vault. I love drop point blades, and this is a good looking knife, but it's got some special things going on. Number one, we do have this radial, focus up camera. We do have kind of this radial pattern on the G10, which I wasn't sure how I'd feel about, but I actually kind of like it now. And the blade is more than just a drop point. We've got this nice wedge going on up here, which looks really, really good in my opinion. Not the highest grind, we'll talk about that later, but definitely a good looking blade. We do have a crown spine on the top here, which is kind of a nice touch. Not something that they needed to do, but it's nice. We also have inset liners, which I like the aesthetics of, but you know, it's also a functional thing. We'll get to that in a little bit. Minimal branding, as normal with Civivi. We've got the Civivi pivot, which I do like. All these dust particles on the blade. Yeah, I think it's a good looking knife. Speaking of the looks, you can get this in a couple of different versions. The original Synergy, I believe, came in a trailing point and a drop, or trailing point and a tanto. And then, at least those are the Wii versions. I can't remember the original Young design, what the blade shape on that was. But you can also get the Civivi version in a trailing point, a tanto, and there's a couple of different sizes. You can get the Synergy 4 is the bigger one, I think, and then the Synergy 3, I think, is the smallest of them. And I guess because I'm mentioning all the different varieties, we might as well talk about the fact that, yes, this is an Young design. The original custom version of this knife was the world's very first titanium integral, I believe, which is pretty sweet. Then we made the Synergy 2, which was also a titanium integral. This knife here is not an integral. This is just kind of standard construction. But Civivi made the Synergy 3 and the Synergy 4. The Synergy 4 is like a 4-inch blade, and this one's a 3¼ inch blade. Yeah, so tons of variants available. You can get the all blacked out one like this right here. I believe there's also a drop point version that has a black blade and tan scales. I think those are the only versions you can get for the drop point. But yeah, good looking knife. That's the longest I've spent on aesthetics on a knife in quite some time. Let's move on to some other things. Let's start off with that action. So first of all, access to the lock bar is actually really, really good. And excuse my hands, got all kinds of like scabs and stuff. I just came back from an adventure, and so I'm like cut up and, you know, dirty everywhere. Well, not necessarily dirty. Well, yeah, a little bit dirty. Grimy, I guess. Anyways. Access to the lock bar is really, really good. It doesn't look that good, but getting to that lock bar is very, very easy. It feels very natural. I like it quite a bit. Action on this knife, phenomenal. I love the action on this. The detent and the bearings themselves, right now the knife's a little bit dirty. Can you hear all the grime in there? Yeah, I've been carrying this knife and using it a lot, so I need to take it apart and give it a good cleaning. But the action is very smooth on the close, nice and consistent on those bearings. The detent could probably be a little bit heavier, but this flipper tab, oh my gosh, this flipper tab is where it's at. It's pointing upward, which is awesome. You've got really, really perfect jimping on there. It goes all the way around. Kind of hooks a little bit, so your finger gets in there and it breaks. Just a very satisfying flip. That's the best word to describe this action, is satisfying. It's a flipper only, and honestly, that's all it needs. This is one of my favorite flipper knives in my collection as of now. Just super satisfying. I don't know. There's just something about it that feels good to carry. So it's not necessarily a fidget beast, but you flip that thing open, you're like, yeah, That's good action. Also, by the way, with the flipper tab, I really like this little area here, how the flipper tab kind of follows the scales right here. I guess that's something else with the aesthetics, but I really like that. That's very, very cool. Let's talk about the ergos. So pretty neutral handle. We got a little bit of waviness going on here, but feels a hand really well. These scales are contoured. You can see that right there. We do have the inset liners, which I love. This reminds me a lot of the original CGRB Feldspar. Feels really, really good in hand. In fact, it feels very similar to the Feldspar in some regards. You got kind of this teardrop shape to the end. Feels just excellent in hand. I don't feel that pocket clip at all. This little area here is a good spot for your thumb. You can see this kind of swoops down. Your thumb can just rest in there. It's good. It's really, really nice. Yeah. The texturing on the scales is also nice. It adds functional grip. Yeah, it's grippy without being like abrasive. This is like perfect grippiness. This is the way that you should do grippy G10. Instead of making it like sandpaper, just do something like this because it achieves the same effect while being 100 times more comfortable. So yeah, love the ergos on this thing. The blade, very nice blade. This is Nitro V steel, which is a fine steel. I used to not like Nitro V. It's all right with me nowadays. We got a nice tip there. The swedge makes it thin but strong. Not the highest flat grind ever. So this is not the sliciest Civivi knife in the world, but it's still very slicey, and this thing cuts really, really well. The plunge grind is done, excuse me, camera. The plunge grind is done just about perfectly. It's, you can see there's the plunge, right there. You've got a lot of sharpening. Could be a little bit better, but pretty good, all things considered. Yeah, this blade works well. Complements the handle very, very nicely. This is a knife that you can get a lot of work done. And this is the kind of blade geometry that I think is kind of a generalist. This is great for day-to-day EDC, but you can push this into some, more difficult work roles. Nothing like super heavy duty, nothing like truly hard use, I wouldn't say, but, like as far as a work knife goes, this will be able to handle, a good amount of work. So, yeah, I like that a whole lot. The pocket clip is fine. It's inset with flat screws, so in and out of the pocket, it's good. Texturing can be a little bit difficult, but not too bad. Standard Civivi clip, which not my favorite clip, but it works. Fit and finish is really, really good, as you would probably expect from a Civivi. T8 hardware all the way around and minimal hardware. Love to see it. Yeah, very, very smart design. All right, let's go ahead and talk about some of the things I don't like. And number one, yeah, I'm sorry, lefties. They left you out. That sucks. I'm sorry, guys. Number two, this lanyard hole. I don't normally complain about lanyard holes because even though I don't use lanyard holes, I don't find them to be that, obtrusive. I think this knife really would have looked better if it had like a lanyard pin in the back spacer, but they did not go that way for some reason. And the last negative that I want to talk about with this knife is that the regular price on these was like $95. That is stupid. This is not a $95 knife. Now, I got mine on sale at Blade Show West for $45. At $45, this is a really, really good knife. But I think the regular price on these should have been like $65. Like, $65 is where these should have been. I have no idea why they thought they could charge $90+ for these. That's absolutely stupid. But the good news is you can actually find these on sale on places like Amazon and Blade HQ right now for less than the $90. So, silver linings, I suppose. And that's going to be about it. Let's talk about my final conclusions. Should you buy this knife? Yes. As far as I know, these are discontinued or they're going to be discontinued. So this is going to be your last time to get one if you want one. These things are sweet. This is one of my favorite Civivis. This is definitely top 3 for me now. might be my second favorite Civivi. I don't know. It's really good. It's really, really good. I'm glad I got my hands on it. I've always thought it was an attractive design, but the price was, prohibitive to me. After I grabbed this one at Blade Show West, I've carried this knife so much. This thing is absolutely incredible. Absolutely love this knife. Great design, great build quality, functionality is great. This is a really, really good knife. So if you're interested, give it a shot. It gets a recommendation from me. And that's going to be it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave it a like, comment below, and share, and subscribe. Also, that's very, very helpful. Big shout out to my channel members at the Cowboy level. I appreciate everything they do. They are awesome, and they keep this channel going. If you want to become a channel member, there's a button down below where you can join and support me directly. As for the rest of you weirdos, I've been Gideon, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.